Hey everyone, welcome to this video. Hope you're doing well. I'm going to give you some overviews, some tips and tricks, and my experiences playing Project Diablo 2 Season 2 with a multi-shot BOWAZON. This video will be mostly applicable to that class and spec, but some of these tips and tricks will kind of apply to anybody that is playing a physical damage character like a multi-shot BOWAZON. So this video will be catered towards that, but you will also find some other things that you can use that might help you out, or if you're just new to Project Diablo 2, some of the things that you'll find out and see in here might help you out as well. This can also be used towards some single player characters. I'm playing this character as a self-found character, meaning I am not trading for items. I am playing some multiplayer games for experience or things like that, but I'm not taking anything I find going to a trading site or trading games and trying to get, a great bow or great item from that. So that's kind of what this video is for. So let's kind of talk about it. Where am I currently with this character? I am level 66 right now. I've completed Nightmare, and I am currently farming the pits in Hell Act 1. The pits can actually drop any item in the game. It's a kind of a good, your first major cliff for a lot of characters, especially physical characters, because they're so dependent on their bow or their physical damage that barrier in hell can really hurt a lot of characters. And I was able to finally get there, get it to be able to do it somewhat efficiently, not super fast obviously, relatively safe, and I will probably be spending several streams in there. So that's kind of where I am. I'm kind of at the first major cliff, I would say. So let's kind of talk about how we got there and what our character looks like and everything like that. So one of the first things we're going to talk about are items. So when you're leveling up, obviously a lot of the tips for leveling with any character is use the best items you got. So if this is your first character, what you find is what you got. You can't really mule anything over if you have no other characters to get items from. So the major thing for obviously any Amazon, a BOWAZON, physical character, anything like that is going to be your weapon. That's where you're going to get most of your damage from, because you're not a sorceress where your damage comes from your skills or your summons or things like that. So right now I currently have an elite storm strike bow, which has been upgraded. When you're leveling, obviously you're going to take the best that you can get. Normal, you'll be fine through most of normal. Nightmare is when you can start to really notice if you haven't gotten an upgrade or something like that, your damage can start to fall off pretty quickly around Act 2 to Act 3 of Nightmare, especially Act 4. So what can you do if you are running into that cliff if you're playing for the first time? Well, a couple things that you can do are rune words. Rune words like Zephyr. Zephyr is a 2-socket rune word that can give you, I think it's around 35% enhanced damage. I'll post the stats in the screen here. I don't have it right in front of me right now. It's obviously not a great rune word, but it is relatively cheap, and all it takes is a 2-socket bow. So if you find a decent 2-socket and second tier bow, name is escaping me for some reason right now, that could be a place that you could get a little bit of an upgrade to get you over that next hurdle, maybe getting through Diablo or something along that line. Melody is a 3-socket, which is good against undead. It doesn't have base enhanced damage, but this could be used if you got a little bit lucky and you had really nothing else. The other stats on it could kind of help you. And some people do kind of underestimate the bonuses of a damage against certain types of enemies. It can really help you in certain places of the game. So something to keep in mind as well is there. The next one is kind of more of a late game item, which is Harmony. That's a 4-socket bow that can give you the Vigor aura, really good enhanced damage on that, but that's a little bit more in-game type of bow, and that is also one that is used by people who use Act 1 Mercenaries. So sockets, rune words, that can be one step that you can do. Second one that I took advantage of is crafting. The crafting in Project Diablo 2 was actually enhanced and has better stats than the base Diablo 2. So in my character, I was using the original normal version of Storm Strike, which I got in Act 5 of normal, which was doing well. I was in Act 1 of Nightmare. And then I found an exceptional specific Amazon magical bow, which had really good base damage for blood weapon recipe to make a crafted weapon, which that carried me for up through hell, actually. And I mean, I got that in Act 1 Nightmare. All it took was, I think, like an Ort rune, a perfect ruby, a magic jewel, and just a magic weapon. That's all it took. Got a really nice upgrade that carried me basically all through Nightmare. I mean, you can't really complain about that. One other thing that you can do, and I take back my last statement, I did get an upgrade for, which is this next tip I'm going to talk about, which is Upping Uniques. So Upping Uniques is a thing that you can do with some runes that you can take a certain quality, so like a normal quality, like the Storm Strike. I took it as a normal quality, put in as like an Ort and a Soul rune with probably a gem or something like that, and it upgraded the base from normal to exceptional. So the damage range went, much higher, since it went from that low base damage to now a mid-range base damage, which was actually better than that crafted one that I had. And that kind of carried me then through Act 5 that's what carried me through Act 5 of Nightmare. I dipped my toes into Act 1 of Hell, and the damage it was not there. So I started farming Nightmare cows and some other things that I'll talk about, but those are some of the things that you can do if you are finding yourself you're kind of hitting a wall, the damage is starting to lower. It's like, what can I do to get over that next hump? Because your damage is really dependent on what you find. So keep that in mind if you're running into any problems. Up some uniques, maybe find some crafting items like that, and get you over that next hump and to the next farming spot. So those are things for the weapon. What about some other things? Well, helmet wise, a good one that you can make is this lore helmet that I have right here. It takes an Ort and a Soul rune. Soul rune's not that hard to find, or you can just craft it through the upgrading of the runes. It gives you +1 to all skills, good lightning resistance, +1 to mana after each kill, which I'll talk about in just a second. Just a good helmet overall. Another item that you can make is the stealth armor. That takes Tal and Eth, and that goes in your normal armor slot right here. I don't have that because I'm using this Twitch throw, but Tal and Eth you can easily get from normal Countess with a few runs and put it in a quilted armor or a leather armor or any 2 open socket armor that you find. And that's a really good armor that will carry you for a good bit of normal, if not into Nightmare, until you find something else that you might need. So I never actually did craft one. I found this in Act 4 of Normal, and I've been using it up through Hell right now. So some other things to look for in items as you're leveling as a BOWAZON, because everything else is just going to be, again, kind of what you find. What's the best? Do you find gloves that have increased attack speed, boots that have faster run walk, some other helmets that just have, some decent stats, resistances? Same with belts. Those are just going to be kind of what's best. Some things that can really help you early on, though, with your killing speed is mana on kill. So Multishot, when it's low skill, has a pretty low mana cost, and even at level 20, as you see, it's only 3.8 per shot. That's not a whole lot. If you have a good bow and you're killing really quickly, if you have +1 to mana after each kill, +2 to mana after each kill, or something along those lines, and you have a big screen of monsters and you clear them out with like 2 or 3 shots, all of a sudden, boom, your mana's filled. There you go. You're back to full. You don't even need any mana leech. That won't carry you all the way, especially if you start using Guided Arrow on bosses, which starts to become more prevalent in Nightmare because Guided Arrow has a large mana cost. So you will need to graduate into Mana Leech, which I didn't get that until way into Nightmare. So I was really sucking down the potions, unfortunately. So that's something else to keep in mind. Mana on kill is actually really powerful with Multishot, especially early on, as the mana cost is low. And that should really kind of help you killing the trash. It obviously won't help you with Diablo, Bale, the Act bosses, things like that. But your killing speed for everything else, that will help you so you're not going back to town buying more potions or anything like that. One other thing, obviously, to keep in mind for items is attack speed. Anywhere you can find attack speed to get the breakpoints passed is just going to really up your DPS. And early on, I think it's like 20% increased attack speed you need just to get that first little hump over get that wherever you can. Gloves are a good spot. If you get it on your weapon, that's good. That's something else to kind of look for. You know, mana leech, life leech, those are always helpful as well. So that kind of covers some of the items that you kind of want to be looking for, and how to kind of get you over some humps as well. Obviously, be on the lookout for any resistance charms as you go into Nightmare and Hell. Thankfully, in Hell right now, I actually have positive resistances minus poison. You know, that is what it is. And that's really helped out by some of these grand charms that I found. 28 cold resist, 30 lightning resist. Here's some other cold resist. And I've got some small charms that have some other minor resistances on them. So things like that can really add up and help you survive some of this, the elemental damage, which really can destroy you as an Amazon. If you have any negative resistances and low life, it's really going to hurt you. So things I kind of ran into. So what else do you need as you're leveling? Obviously skills. So as a multi-shot BOWAZON, obviously your main skill is going to be multi-shot. As you're leveling, you know, in the bow and crossbow skill trees, this is where your bread and butter really is going to be. Obviously you need magic arrow. Magic arrow is good for obviously physical immunes later on. I'll talk a little bit more into it. I haven't really got into it a whole lot in my playthrough, but multi-shot is going to be where your bread and butter early points are going. Especially getting it up to like level 10, 10 to 15 early on. That's going to give you nice range on your AoE. The mana cost ain't going to be too high. The other benefit with multi-shot is the increase to attack rating. So when you level with multi-shot, it gives you that extra percentage in your into your attack rating. Very, very useful, because your normal attacks, if you're doing that, if you're kind of behind on levels, if you don't have extra attack rating, can really fall behind. Multi-shot with its bonuses and percentages will kind of carry you over those humps. I think the worst I was running into in terms of attack rating as I was leveling was around 80% with multi-shot, when I was kind of behind a little bit on levels, behind on dexterity. So pumping those points into multi-shot and more as you get up there and get it maxed, that's going to be really beneficial for you. That's kind of your bread and butter, where your first points are going to be going, and until you get it maxed out, and then you're just covering the whole screen with that. So guided arrow. So I have it maxed. I don't think it was worth it for me to max it as I was leveling. The points that you put into it, the extra damage, it says plus 57%. As you see, it's not that much more than multi-shot right now. And really all it gives you when you are putting those extra points into it is just lower mana cost. So guided arrow does convert some physical damage into magic damage, and I think that comes from the magic arrow passive, or you know, synergy, or whatever you want to call it. But I was putting points into it because the mana cost starts really high with guided arrow and goes down as you put points. And again, I didn't really have any mana steal or anything like that, so I was just chugging potions on, like, you know, Duriel and Mephisto, and just going through them, and I couldn't keep up on it. So I was putting points into it. But now that I have mana steal, one shot from multi-shot, one shot from guided arrow, boom, my mana is refilled. So I don't think it was really worth it for me. So you can respec in Diablo 2, you know, several times, you know, pretty easily. So if you need it, like I was, it's not the end of the world, but if you can avoid it, I would probably avoid maxing guided arrow if I was replaying this. The points could probably be better spent in other places in the passive and magics that we're going to get to. So passive and magics, obviously, you know, great skills here as an Amazon if you've ever played regular Diablo 2. It's been overhauled a little bit in Project Diablo 2. Critical Strike, obviously, I'm putting some more points into there. Again, you know, had I not been putting it in Guided Arrow, could have gone here to help me out with some other stuff. Critical Strike, great to put into. Pierce, very good to put into Pierce. I need to research it to see if the bonuses with items are additive, but you will want to end up with 100% Pierce, because Guided Arrow was changed into this where it can actually pierce multiple times, I think 3 times per enemy. So if you have 100% Pierce, it's just going to be back and forth, and that physical damage, that single target damage, is just going to destroy your act-in bosses or your regular bosses that you might be facing if you're leveling and your damage isn't quite there. So Pierce, very good. Penetrate, it reduces enemies' target defense and gives you some extra attack rating. Probably only need 1 point, and if you have any plus skills, that will kind of carry you over. So with the extra and multi-shot, You probably don't need more than that, but definitely you want to put 1 point in penetrate. Evade, so this actually gives you bonus movement speed, which again, had I had extra skill points to put things into, I would probably have put extra into here. And also you can dodge, melee or missile attacks when you're walking or running, like it shows. Very good, because you're kind of squishy as an Amazon most of the time. So I will be putting more points into here as we go along. Dodge, which is good, faster hit recovery if you do get hit. But if you kind of play glass cannon, if you get hit, you're kind of dead. So it's up to you and kind of the way you play it. But I did put a point here. Inner sight and all these, I've not played with them really quite yet. Decoy I have used, which has helped me. I don't think I would put extra points into it right now, but I still do use it. So again, Valkyrie, here's another one. This is kind of, I would feel kind of up in the air. I was not putting points into it when I originally got it, so she quickly fell off. In Act 1 of Nightmare, I stopped using her unless we were at an Act N boss just to absorb a hit or something like that. I have now maxed it, and I can have 2 Valkyries. Act 1 Hell, she's okay. She can definitely tank now, and there's 2 of them, which kind of helps take some of the damage off the Mercenary. Is it needed? Again, I would probably say no. I probably didn't need to max it. It does help absorb some of the damage from the Mercenary, so it is safer. And I might keep it for going through Hell if I don't have really great items, but it probably wasn't needed. I probably could have taken points out of Valkyrie, put it more into Evade or Pierce or Critical Strike or anything, along with the guided arrows. So, that was kind of my experience with the leveling in terms of my skill points. That could have been shuffled around, but it wasn't too bad for leveling, and it worked for me. So that's just something that you might want to keep in mind if you have some items you've muled over or something like that. Skip the Valkyrie then if you're just destroying the enemies. Skip the guided arrow 20 points, if you've got Mana Steel on the ready, or just you're okay chugging rejuves and mana potions and things like that. Obviously no javelin and spear skills. We're a BOWAZON. We don't use those. So we're done with the stat points. So let's talk about Mercenaries. Mercenaries, there are what I'd say kind of the beginners and then the end games. I'm not at the end game yet. I have seen some kind of stats and videos on what you want to do, but when you're leveling, you're probably going to want to use a meat shield. Act 2 to start. Defense 1 if you want to, if they want to have the extra defense on them. Or even you could take the Blessed Aim ones just to have some extra attack rating as you're going through normal in case you get, pretty crappy items. I did that in Season 1 and it worked fine. But as a physical character, you need physical damage. And the Act 5 Mercenaries in Project Diablo 2 bring you the Might Aura. And I would recommend using the Might Aura Act 5 Mercenaries while leveling. Gear-wise, they can use a lot of two-handers or one-handers. And I actually found this Dimensional Blade, which is a one-hander, a 2-socket, and made a really low-end rune word called Strength. Nice thing on this, it has Crushing Blow, which can take off portions. Sorry if you hear the dog. Something's going on. It can take off portions of enemy's life. At this point, I need to get him a new one, a two-hander or something beefy, which he'll be able to use soon. I crafted something for him, but he can't quite use it yet. So find what you can for him. Craft items again. You can even up uniques for him as well if you need to. You can do the same thing with him. So, it's a good thing. Other things you're going to be looking for, look for Life Leech if you can. I currently have this on Tal Rasha's and on this weapon right here. Another good thing of the strength that has Life Steal. But those are some kind of other things you want to look for. Have Skin of the Viper Magi, normally a caster item, but the +1 to all skills does actually increase his Might Aura, and it gives him some resistances. So that's, there's not really super specific as you're leveling. Just look for any really good stats that you can find for your mercenary, and they'll stay alive and help you out. And you can see here, his resistances are doing well. His damage, even with the Might Aura on, his damage is, he can kill stuff, but it's a lot lower than where it needs to be. So I can't wait to get him a two-hander that can actually do some damage and start contributing. Maybe I'll get lucky and find a unique or something like that. So that's kind of a beginner mercenary. What's kind of in-game? Again, I'm not there, but I've looked at some things. A lot of Amazons will use actually the Act 1 ranged mercenaries, and they will put that Harmony rune word on them for the, I think Vigor Aura, or there's another one that gives Fanaticism, which increases your attack speed as well. You can get, I think, a rune word armor or a unique that also gives the Might Aura, which is what you want. So you can basically get a lot of extra attack speed, a lot of extra damage with the Act 1 Mercenary as well. And so if your clearing speed is fine, you don't really need the meat shield or anything like that. Or if your dodge is really high and you just kind of go glass cannon, go for it. You know, be careful if you're playing hardcore, obviously. So as you kind of get up there, you should be able to get through Nightmare pretty easily. But then it's going to be, okay, you're going to dip your toes into hell if you don't have extra gear that's come from places kind of like I did. So you're going to really hit a brick wall when it comes into hell. That is just a major barrier for a lot of, especially physical characters. So what can you do? You need farming spots. If you're clearing Nightmare pretty well, Nightmare Cows is a great place for getting items. I found my Tal Rasha's mask there. I found some good runes there. I lost an Ist rune there in a public game, if you check out my other video. Nightmare Cows is a pretty good spot. The cows, even in single mode, one-player games, they do have a lot of life. My exceptional upped bow was not super fast, but once I upped that to an elite version, you know, the killing speed increased, and I was able to continue on into hell and start the pits as well. You can also do Nightmare Bale if you just want experience in public games. You know, Nightmare Bale also does some, you know, have some pretty good drops. You can do Nightmare Countess if you need some runes and start upping them. You know, that's not a bad idea as well if you want to make some of these rune words. But kind of your major first farming spot, I think, for a lot of characters is going to be the Hell Pits and Hell Countess, especially the Hell Pits. Easy thing to do. Make a beeline, go for the waypoint, get the outer cloister waypoint. Then all you got to do is backtrack, follow the road, and you'll find the pits.
This is the site of Andariel's atrocities.
That is where the site is. Thanks, Amazon. So that's a very easy farming spot. And as you increase your run walk speed, you can really blaze your way there. So that's what I definitely need to increase my run walk speeds. Those are a couple easy farming spots, or you could just kind of clear whatever you want to as well. You can try and go as far as you want to in hell until you just kind of hit a brick wall. Kill Helen Dariel if you can as well. I've not tried that yet, but she can drop some good items. Nightmare and Dariel can also drop Stone of Jordan or unique rings. Hopefully the servers don't crash like it happened to me. Nightmare Mephisto is pretty good as well. That's a common farming spot. Probably wouldn't recommend it as an Amazon because you don't have teleport, and Nightmare Durance can be really big. So yeah, post your favorite farming spots if you know of any as well for anybody watching this. But then it really is going to come down to what are some downsides, because you got to talk about some downsides of a character like this. The major one is for any physical character, you are so reliant on your physical damage, on your weapon that you find. There's a lot of luck involved. So if you're not being lucky, you know, you might have to do a lot of farming in pits. That's kind of a major downside. But you can kind of circumvent that luck through upping of uniques, crafting, rune words, which you can, you know, farm Countess for and, you know, up those runes. You know, those are some of the kind of the things that you can do to kind of offset that need to get a really lucky drop. You know, you don't need to get a wind force to be able to go through hell very easily. You know, is it beneficial? Of course, but those are some of the things that I've done to kind of go against that, you know, need for a super lucky drop, and it has helped me. And I want to see, you know, my future streams. I'm only level 66. I've got a lot of experience to gain. You know, that's a lot more stats, a lot more skills that I can get, and hopefully I'll get a lot more drops. So that's kind of my experience with Project Diablo 2 Season 2. It's been pretty fun so far. I've missed several days because of bad server luck, unfortunately. You know, I can't complain because, you know, it's a free mod, and it has been a lot of fun. I've done some public games. I've had some interesting experiences. If you've seen any of the other videos, you know, you've probably seen some of the clickbaity thumbnails I've done. You know, it's all for fun. I hope you all have enjoyed kind of my ride with this character so far. I'm certainly not done creating videos. The videos are probably going to start to turn into what did I find in this farming session, because I'm going to have to do that before I kind of make some progress. But I'm still going to capture kind of my day's experience of streaming of what's happened with this character. So yeah, that kind of covers a BOWAZON for Multishot. You know, there are other ways to play a BOWAZON. You can do the Elemental if you want. That's probably safer and quicker and can get you further than where I am. because I think your damage will start to come from the skills and not so much from the physical damage of the bow. But this is what I like. That's kind of how I play. I like to play self-found. It doesn't mean that it's the best way to play. It doesn't mean it's the right way to play. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that's the wrong way to play. Play to have fun. Play that suits your needs, suits your styles. I like to kind of take my time and do my own thing, kind of find my own stuff. And yeah, that's been that. I hope this video has at least given you some tips or tricks if you are playing a character, a physical character, or you're just looking for some ideas, or if you're not even into Project Diablo 2 or you're thinking about it. I'd really recommend it. It has a lot of neat features, a lot of quality of life. You've probably seen I've got this charm inventory and things like that. It will definitely be hard to go back to regular Diablo 2 when Resurrected comes out, but I will definitely do that. I'm looking forward to it. So thanks for checking out this video. Leave a comment about what you do with your character, some tips that you've run into if you're playing this. If you like it, please subscribe or like this video. I've got some other streams that I do. You can check out my Twitch, which is down below in the section below, or check out my Final Fantasy streams that I'm posting as well. Those are all edited down. I don't just post a full video. And thanks for this, and hope you have a great day.